Asante sana, Bi Speaker.
Asante sana, mbunge wa Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me from the onset make it very clear, I'm a member of the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya and a senior valuer in this country. Honorable Speaker, the National Land Commission operates within the realm of the land sector. Obviously, Honorable Speaker, there are some expectations as ISK expected in the appointing authority, and there are very valid reasons for that. Honorable Speaker, when you go to Section 5 of the National Land Commission Act, it lists the functions of the commission. Very clear: to manage public land on behalf of the national and county governments, to recommend a national land policy to the national government, and very many others. To assess tax on land and premiums on immovable property in an area designated by law. Honorable Speaker, when you go to the qualifications of the chairman, chairperson, and members, these are the requirements. You must have a degree in public administration, land management and administration, management of natural resources, land adjudication and settlement, land law, land survey, spatial planning, or land economics, or social sciences. The same are repeated for members. Honorable Speaker, I have nothing personal. Among us, all these people, probably the only person I know is nominee number 2. The rest, I do not know them. I have nothing personal against them. I would have easily stood up here and said I oppose. But the commission has to run. Honorable Speaker, I do not know how the commission, we might argue it's a commission, but it's a full-time commission. It's not a part-time commission. So they actually hold executive powers. When they appear in most committees, they must appear the commissioners plus the chief executive officer. Honorable Speaker, we are populating a commission with the people, Kenyans, who have no qualifications at all that are required, repeatedly indicated in this particular act. And again, plus the Constitution of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, what are you doing? What are we saying? And many of us here know the central role land plays in this country. Many knows there's so many skirmishes, there's so many wars, there's so many confrontations, there's so many land disputes in this country. Honorable Speaker, are we serious as a country? Are we creating a situation where we perpetuate land practices in the land sector? What kind of a disservice are you doing to this country? Honorable Speaker, it's a sad day. And I don't want to say anything about my colleagues in the committee. Honestly speaking, you should have had the courage, should have had the guts to go back to the appointing authority and clearly tell them that you have handed us, I don't want to use a word, an incompetent commission. That's exactly what it is. It does not meet the required qualifications as set out in the Constitution and in the law. Honorable Speaker, I know the operations of the committee. I know the operation of the committee. They said they had a thematic area, and each member of the commission in the thematic area is given an area of expertise. I wonder how somebody who has no experience in land matters, has never practiced land law. I know Madam Oseko was a magistrate. Honorable Speaker, are we real being?
What is out of order, Leader of Majority?
Honorable Speaker, you know we have a duty to substantiate on any allegations that we make here, especially around persons who cannot defend themselves here. And I heard Honorable Oundo assert that the nominees do not meet any of the constitutional qualifications that have been put under the Constitution. You know, we would benefit from his knowledge, or lack of it for that matter, if you would inform us what is it that these nominees do not meet under the Constitution. Because it's very easy, as he said, it would have been easy for him to just oppose. It's also very easy to claim this is unconstitutional, but you must be able to substantiate and show us what threshold have they not met. Because, you know, it's just disparaging people without any substantiation, and it's not fair because those nominees are not here. They may not be able to defend themselves. The committee that considered them is a very honorable committee of 15 members of this house also. And they considered all those things.
Very well.
So maybe Oundo can substantiate and
Member
say,
for
what qualifications are these that they do not meet?
Member for Funyula, apart from not knowing them, what is unconstitutional?
He has asked me to substantiate. None of these members, and I can go on record, are members of the Institution of Surveyors of Kenya, the professional body that regulates all the professionals in the landed sector. None of them. None of them. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, by repeated, as I have the bill with me here, by the so many repeated instances of land,
what is out of order? Chairperson,
it was a contemplation.
Hold on, Member for Funyula. Chairperson, land.
I think the Honorable Oundo is totally out of order. You don't expect the National Land Commission to have a composition of only lawyers. The lady you have just mentioned, the nominee, Madam Julie, is a very competent person, having served as a magistrate in even solving land matters, and she has a lot of knowledge about it. The other thing, Madam Speaker, I want to say is that Oundo has not taken time even to go through the report which you presented this morning. In fact, you don't have it. You know, there are times when you just rise to speak because you just want to speak.
Do not cast aspersions, Chair.
And in any case,
Honorable Speaker, we have interacted with these nominees. They are not being disclosed for the very first time on the floor today. Their names was bandied, was presented here. We have had our own time to do background checks. Honorable Speaker, you cannot populate as a purely professional commission.
Honorable Kaluma, what is out of order?
Honorable Chair, the matter raised by the majority leader concerning the academic qualification requirements has not been responded to by Honorable Oundo. There is no requirement in terms of qualification to serve in this commission that you should be a member of the Surveys of Kenya or Institute of Surveyors or whatever you call it. So could he withdraw that being a matter which he cannot substantiate?
Honorable Speaker, the framers of the act were not out of the moon. They knew the mandate of the commission as set out in the Constitution, and that's why in their framing and in their language, they have repeatedly used land professionals. Repeatedly. It would have expected, as has happened the past two commissions, that there must have been adequate representation of the various professionals.
Honorable
Yes, this is
what is out of order?
I'm not.
Thank you very much. I'm on point of order. Madam Speaker, I think Honorable Oundo should not be misleading the House. The principal law of this land, that to all of us, when we come to this house, we stand on the floor of this house, we take oath. It's with the Constitution. And any other thing that comes about is really corollary. It is not that binding for anybody to say that the National Land Commission must be manned by lawyers, surveyors, land administrators. I think the basic requirement is a degree. But for who should run the National Land Commission, there's a secretariat, technical persons who run that institution. So I think it's misleading the House.
Member for Saku, you've made your point. Point of information. Do you want to be informed, Honorable Member for Funyula, by Member for Seme?
Of course, when Dr. Nyikal, you know, me and Dr. Nyikal, we are the veterans in this house, we understand. So I can agree for him to inform me.
Honorable Nyikal?
Yeah, my information is actually helping him. as much as I support this and what Dr. Oundo is saying as actually as a point, because there was a submission from the Memorandum of Architectural Association Town Planners. And if you look at paragraph 92, there was limited representation of core-built environment professionals among the nominated commissioners and the members. The stakeholders further stated that the absence of registered physical planners, land surveyors, land economists, or professionals at level of commission leadership raised serious questions regarding the substantive adherence to the constitutional principles of merit and professionalism. The committee itself actually goes on and makes a comment on paragraph 373 and says the committee observed that their concerns were valid and there's a need to incorporate a wider spectrum of professionals, including land and build environmental professionals and other related fields in future nominations for the appointed. So he actually has a point, and the committee observed. But there's also, let me finish. But there also that's a point of information.
That is a point of information from Honorable Nyikal. Member for Funyula. What is out of
Honorable
order?
Speaker.
Member for Funyula, just a minute. You know, Honorable Speaker, the member for Seme, Dr. Nyikal, a very good member of this House, sought to inform the member for Funyula. But he's actually misinforming him because he is simply reading the report for him and reading observations of the committee based on what was submitted by an association. The sort of associations the member for Funyula is speaking on behalf. Because if, as a member of the public, I come and submit my views, because those are merely views. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, I proposed the member for Funyula should tell us that in statute, in the National Lands Commission Act, or in the Constitution, because what he said was that it is these people do not meet any of the constitutional thresholds. In the Constitution, they do not meet this particular threshold, because the statute does not say there shall be a member of this and that institute. Neither does the Constitution say that there shall be. And the member for Funyula knows the language in the legislation. If you want to make it mandatory, like that gentleman from somewhere in Nyanza said, is mandatory shall. So unless the law says shall, mandatory shall.
Honorable members. Honorable members.
Let me wind up.
Member for Funyula, hold on. Honorable members, this is not the first time this conversation has come to this floor during appointments, and we've had this conversation over and over, but we have to be guided by the Constitution, Article 252. We have to be guided by the National Land Commission Act, Cap 281. That is why I will implore Honorable Member for Funyula, you must also be guided by Standing Order 91 on statement of fact, so that you are able to give the right information. And the issue I would flag off from your presentation is that even if they are not coming from where you would have liked them to come from, are they qualified? Because you cannot then impute that they are incompetent, yet it is not against the law. So can you clarify that?
Honorable Speaker, this is a very good debate we could have.
And you have 2 minutes.
In other forums, so that we conclude this matter. Honorable Speaker, the stakeholders have raised valid concerns. And the committee, and I'm surprised, Chair, Speaker, I'm surprised. The chair does not even know the observations of the committee. And that observation in chapter 373 of the report 57, page 57 of 67. And they're calling us to approve the report. We are calling to and the report is here in entirety, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, honestly speaking, Honorable Speaker, As much as we want to
What
fall
is
back
out of
into
order,
technicalities and shouting matches, but that's a fact that we have been given an incompetent commission.
Yes. Speaker,
Honorable Kaluma.
the issue here is very simple. We don't disagree with what the committee has observed. The point we are making to Honorable Oundo is that in as much as there may be nobody from the association is talking about, that provision of the law does not say that absent a person from that profession, then there is disqualification of the team, or that the commission then will be improperly unconstituted. And so we must distinguish matters of desire from matters of legal requirement and law. And I think Honorable Oundo should just apologize and say,
that was my direction, actually.
In as much as the committee observed we could have had somebody from this profession, there is none, but that does not disqualify the nominees from being constituted into this commission.
Do you want to be informed? Member for Funyula.
Honorable Speaker, I probably, it's good I conclude so that I can give other members to contribute, because these interventions are unnecessary. It's very good for the debate. Honorable Speaker, I want to reiterate again. Yes, we might have looked at the law and said, since or, because this says or, we could as well have picked all social scientists, but the intention and looking at the functions of the commission and the drafters of the bill and the constitution, there was an expectation and a contemplation that would be populated by all the spectrum that of these professionals in that particular field. What we have, it might meet the spirit of the law, it might have the letters of the law, but does not meet the spirit of the law. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
We shall make progress. Member for Wundanyi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this important motion, consideration of nominees for appointments to the National Lands Commission, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I raise, and I need to mention that the context of my contribution is that I come from a region that has been bedeviled by very many land issues, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Coast Region is known in this country that if you are to talk about the landless, if you are to talk about the absentee landlords, if you are to talk about issues of evictions, if you are to talk about